And I will call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody this evening. We have a little bit of a unique situation here. The City of Winston Mayor and the Deputy Mayor are both absent from this evening's meeting. So the first item on the agenda is for the City Council to select a presiding officer over this meeting. So I will entertain a motion on that item.
I'll make a motion that we have Tom.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
So now if I'd have voted no,
Well, we would have been in a situation, that is for certain.
all right. First item of business is the consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes of the following meetings. City Council work session, September 21st. City Council regular meeting, September 21st. Park Commission meeting, September 13th. And Planning Commission meeting, September 13th. Item B, adopt resolution R-21-44, a joint powers agreement between the state of Minnesota, acting through its Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and the City of Winston on behalf of its prosecuting attorney. Item C, authorize the mayor to execute an amended joint and cooperative agreement for ongoing weekend use of law enforcement personnel and equipment with the City of Lester Prairie. Item D has been removed from the consent agenda tonight. Item C, approve the building permit report for the month of September. Item F, approve the financial report for the month of August. Item G, approve the claims list for October 19th. And that is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda as read.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We have no public hearings tonight. There is no old business tonight. So under new business, Adam, resolution R-21-45.
Sure. Well, good evening, council members. On July 16th, 2021, the City of Winston received correspondence from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which provided an update related to the drought situation and new actions required of water suppliers in the areas experiencing severe drought conditions throughout the state. In response to these conditions, the Minnesota DNR determined that the state was in a drought warning phase, and with this designation, the DNR and others were taking additional steps, such as restricting water in some areas. The state drought plan specifies actions that include water suppliers must implement once the state has been elevated into a drought warning phase. And these actions have a goal of reducing water use to 50% above the January levels. And since that time, we have certainly met those goals of water reduction, as we stated at the last meeting. But since our last City Council meeting on October 7th, 2021, the City of Winston did receive correspondence from the DNR stating that to date, the drought monitor map shows that 41% of the watershed Winston is located in is in a severe drought, and only 1% is in an extreme drought, with the remainder of the watershed in moderate drought or abnormally dry, which means that the watershed can now be moved to a drought watch phase, which means the goal of reducing water use to 50% above the January use has been relaxed. Certainly, though, we'll continue to try to conserve water throughout the city. So city staff will continue to monitor water usage and needs and respond accordingly if any concerns arise throughout this fall and winter. But based on the information provided above, city staff is recommending that the City Council rescind the emergency outdoor water restriction declared with Resolution R-21-34 pursuant to the Winston Municipal Code, since an emergency no longer exists for the city of Winsted.
Are there any questions by the council?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution R-21-45, rescinding emergency outdoor watering restrictions in the city of Winsted.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item B, receive a 2021 City Council Priorities Third Quarter Update from our city administrator.
Certainly. So this is the meeting that we schedule our update, again, for our third quarter priorities. So quick overview, I'll just give again, this evening, we'll look at the guidelines for these priorities, the selection process, and how we got here this evening. And then we'll actually do an update on our third quarter city council priorities with some highlights of some certain priorities, etc. First and foremost, the city council priorities are goals designed to advance programs and projects and services that improve the city of Winsted as well as the Winsted community. They are consistent with previously adopted plans, motions, resolutions, and ordinances. The priorities are outcome-based and used to measure the success of the projects and the staff. For a priority to be considered, it must be under the direct influence of the city council and the city staff. And then also these priorities and these goals are used to direct not only the city staff, but also the city commissions and the consultants on their efforts on a day-to-day basis. When we had our goal-setting retreat or day-long session back in January, we started that discussion with 41 different proposed projects or priorities that we discussed, and of those 41, the city council selected 17 priorities for 2021. Of those 17, 5 were automatically selected given their nature or stage of the projects, meaning they're carried over from the previous year. Then the remainder 12 projects or priorities were selected through a ranked voting exercise completed by the city council. As we report on these priorities this evening, we'll do it as we've done in the past through a traffic light system with green projects, meaning that they're on schedule or within the budget. Yellow projects could be up to 1 quarter behind schedule, or they could slightly exceed the budget levels by approximately 5%. Red projects are delayed by more than 1 quarter or significantly exceeding current budget levels, greater than 10%. And then also red on hold, the project is delayed due to external factors, maybe outside of the control of either the city council or the city staff. Ultimately, the goal of this reporting system is to allow the city council to make informed decisions regarding project timelines and resource allocations. So if we decide to, after this meeting or this update, if we decide to redesignate resources or projects accordingly, we certainly can have that discussion. So again, as we continue with our update, working off of our value statements that were previously approved in 2009 by the City Council, we have 2 priorities that represent fiscal responsibility. We have 8 priorities representing excellence and quality in delivery of services, and we have 7 priorities representing leadership and planning. Of those value statements, we have 3 priorities that are in the yellow status with an excellence and quality in delivery of services, and we have 1 project on red on hold representing leadership and planning. So again, some highlighted projects that might not have been discussed recently at any workshops or at the city council level, so just some updates. Priority number 2 on our list within your packet is to consider programs and strategies to encourage the development of housing options within the city of Winsted. So we did discuss this a little bit in the work session this evening, but our third quarter milestone was to review the phase 2 environmental site assessment and asbestos and regulated waste inspection report that we commissioned on a site that we deem potential for high density housing. And then also the milestones to review the comprehensive housing needs analysis that was recently completed. And that is what we did this evening in that work session. And then provide both of these studies to all interested developers. So again, we have reviewed the notice, or we have received a notice of preliminary completion of that phase 2 and the asbestos inspection reports. We do not have that final report at this point, though. The consultant is still drafting that. But the preliminary reports are indicating that the site that we've been working on or we've been researching is relatively contamination-free. So that is somewhat good and bad. And I certainly have presented this to the EDA as well. It's good because the site's cleaner than we anticipated, and that should help lower any demo or site remediation costs because it's clean. It's a clean site. The negative of that is that we are less likely to be awarded any kind of grants for that site because the grants sent around those demo and site remediation costs. So since it's clean, we are less likely to be awarded grants for that site. It is what it is at this point. We will continue to work now on that site with potential developers in developing the site, hopefully. Regarding the housing analysis, again, we did discuss this at work session. The housing analysis and demand assessment certainly shows what we all assumed it would show, in that our subjective analysis stated that we need more homes here in Winsted. We all know that. We all believe that. But now we have an objective document that we can present to housing developers or developers in general that objectively shows those needs for housing, and then those developers can take that document and that objective analysis back to the financing team, et cetera, as they work to obtain financing. So again, both of those, or these studies, should ultimately assist us in our attempt to attract more housing development for different housing development here in Winsted. And again, trying to encompass multiple types of housing needs. Priority number 2 this evening I'm going to discuss, it's priority number 10 within our packet. The goal was to improve marketing of the industrial park, including website development. Add additional information for site selectors and potential developers. So this kind of goes back to your statement, Mike. How do we get this information out to developers? One is by having a comprehensive website for what we talk about in economic development terms as site selectors, whether it's for commercial development or housing development. These site selectors will go on to websites, cities' websites, and look for the information, see if it's organized, well thought out, well presented. And so that's what we worked to do this last quarter with the EDA. The city staff certainly made numerous updates to reorganize the economic development section, essentially, of our website. I think it looks much better. I think the EDA agrees and certainly approved of it. Now, we certainly still have some updates to make, but there's a lot more information available to site selectors for both commercial and housing development here in Winsted after this quarter. Priority number 14 was to develop a comprehensive plan for development of the Weinbeck Athletic Complex to better serve additional Winsted residents. So the quarter 3 milestone was for the Park Commission to conduct and review the geotechnical information as presented by Bolton and Mink. So the Park Commission and the City Council approved a geotechnical analysis of the site, meaning we're going to look at the soils because there was some concerns regarding what those soils could be composed of, where Weinbeck Field currently is. And that was due to just the nature of what that site used to be. We were understanding it was a swampland, etc., that was filled in with potentially contaminated soil, etc. The geotechnical analysis did not find any contamination, meaning it's relatively clean from a contamination standpoint. It does not bring up any concerns. Now, there are certainly some concerns regarding the compaction and the soil types, but I think it's it's something that we can work with still, and we can proceed with designing or making some recommendations on different park amenities for the site. And now our engineers can take the data from the geotechnical analysis and design the amenities accordingly, knowing what the base of the soils are ultimately. So it certainly there were some costs associated with this geotechnical analysis, but it's going to give us ultimately in the long run, if we decide to proceed with a project, it's going to give us a much better design of the project because we're working with less unknowns. So with that being said, is there any questions regarding the 3 projects that I just discussed or any of the other projects within the green status in your packet? If not, then I'll move on to the yellow status.
One question, Winebeck Athletic Complex, what types of activity are they looking at there?
You know, first and foremost, that area of park was donated to the city of Winston with the intent of an athletic or sports type use. You know, and I know that's a very general, broad statement, certainly, but the Park Commission wants to be cognitive of that and certainly support that that use. So right now, where the Park Commission is at, is they are gonna brainstorm at home and come back to the next Park Commission with a comprehensive list of different amenities. You know, there's been discussion regarding altering the configuration of the basketball court. You know, maybe adding pickleball. You know, that's going to be popular in different demographics. You know, maybe we look at, you know, a different type of softball field or something. You know, there's multiple different uses. Maybe it's tennis courts. The Park Commission certainly consider the survey that they did last year and input from the residents. We had suggested that we have different amenities for different demographics. You know, maybe one age group is interested in pickleball, and we're seeing that throughout the United States. The older demographics are getting interested in pickleball, but maybe the younger demographics are interested in a different activity. So we're trying to get comprehensive and put together a plan, and then we're going to give that to our architect, and he can design something based on those recommendations.
Okay. Bonnie or Mike?
I'm good.
Okay. Moving forward then to the next slide on projects within yellow status, so they're slightly delayed. Excuse me, project number 12 is to update and replace our failing water meter infrastructure. So what that is our radio reads on our water meters right now are starting to fail, meaning we're not able to read them electronically. And it's creating numerous issues with our billing system. So our Q3 milestone was to install the new water meter heads that were previously approved during the second quarter. This is probably the first time as the city of Winston that we are noticing the current national supply chain issues. We have not received these meters yet. And as much as we pressure the supplier, we just do not have a delivery date at this point, and they cannot give us one. The downside of that is we were previously at maybe 70 to 75 meters that had failed or were no longer working. Now we're certainly up over 100. So we're receiving more pressure and being able to provide that service to our residents in terms of reading those meters electronically versus them having to manually do that. But unfortunately, there literally is nothing we can do at this point. So that project is delayed. As soon as we receive the meters that we ordered, which we ordered, I think 150, we have our staff scheduled to install as soon as possible.
How old are some of these that you're talking about?
Approximately 15 to 20 years old is the meter age where they're
Really?
failing. Yep. So they're somewhat battery operated. There's a battery, and that's what's failing. The warranty on these meters, again, as we previously presented, was 20 years. So we are receiving a little bit of a credit for any meter that's less than 20 years old from a warranty standpoint, but it's pretty minor. Project number 13 was to create a plan to update and repair various sidewalk sections per the sidewalk inventory completed in 2019. Our Q3 milestone was to complete phase 1 of that sidewalk repair plan or the sidewalk repair projects. As part of that milestone or part of that project, we did seek some public input regarding the properties that would be impacted directly by the removal of those sidewalks adjacent to First Street South and Rosalie Avenue. Due to that public input, the city staff is recommending that we alter the approach to the phase one of the sidewalk management plan, and we did discuss that at the last work session. So right now, we're gonna move forward with just removing the sidewalks adjacent to First Street South, and we will leave the sidewalks in place adjacent to Rosalie, and then we can review the removal of the sidewalks in Rosalie as part of a future street project. Rosalie is scheduled as part of a future street project per our pavement management plan, likely within the next 5 to 8 years. So then we can review the sidewalks adjacent to the Rosalie at that time, whether we want to remove, whether we want to reconfigure, etc. So it is on our staff's schedule to continue to and remove sidewalks along First Street South yet this fall. But it is delayed a little bit. We hope to have those removed at this point already, but that was just due to making sure we had plenty of time for public input. Lastly, moving on to projects that are in the red status, we do have one project that is red on hold, and that's to renovate the light poles adjacent to County Road 1. We certainly have done our research and have some pricing on this project and could certainly proceed, budgeted, etc. But we were previously, or earlier this year, we were notified by McLeod County that they included County Road 1 within their 5-year planning process to redo that road surface, to renovate that road surface. So that led to some more discussion regarding potentially reconfiguring a sidewalk adjacent to County Road 1 or some sort of pedestrian pathway, whether it's a sidewalk, trail, etc. But if we do that, we would want to potentially relocate those street poles or the street lighting adjacent there, because right now with the street lighting being up against the back of the curb and gutter, that lends to more maintenance concerns with the road salt, etc., being plowed up against the light poles and the corrosiveness of that salt, etc. So ultimately we need more analysis to determine if we can add that infrastructure over sidewalk and how we'd go about financing that, and how we'd partner with McLeod County on that, and then ultimately move the lights as well. So I hate to redo these lights right now this year when, if we were patient in the next few years, we might be able to include that as part of a different project, or we don't want to waste any money there with that.
Right.
So that's why I'm recommending that we put that red on hold at this point until we can do some more analysis with McLeod County on that. So is there any questions regarding the projects within the yellow or red status, or any other projects within the spreadsheet that was in your packet?
No, not at this time.
No,
Okay, thank
thank
you.
you, Adam.
Yep.
We've come to our organizational report. We are fortunate to have members of the Winsted Public Library here tonight for their annual report to tell us about all the good things that are happening. So please state your names.
Sorry, we kind of have a routine here.
That's all right. So do we.
We've been doing this for a long time. I'm Katie Hiltner, and I'm Lisa Ebert, the Winsted Librarian. And today we did create a simple handout kind of highlighting what we're going to talk about. Give you something visual to look at. Thank you very much for letting us present this evening. It's nice to be back here. No snowstorms. Lisa doesn't have to read my notes that talks about how amazing she is, but I will mention how amazing she is. So just to embarrass her.
It was not me.
It was not her. No, it's not her. The first topic I put on there was a visit today. I'm happy to say that the Winsted Library continues to operate its regular business hours, which are Monday through Saturday. We're no longer at appointments. No appointments are necessary. Patrons can stop in. They can come in to get books. They can stay longer. We have people coming to read the newspaper. It's been fun to see families come in and curl up on that back couch and read stories aloud to Lisa and staff and others. So that's been really good. I also have the next one is called Check It Out. First, I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to the city. Your funding is immeasurable. I say this every year, but it really, you really support the library greatly. And we couldn't do it without city funding, so thank you for that. To date, the Winsted Library has added a total of 435 items to its collection. Now, this is a combination of purchased items and donated items. Lisa does a really good job of grabbing all the new and in-demand items coming out, keeping people happy. We still offer curbside pickup. That was a service that was generated in 2020, but it stuck around, and I think those numbers are going to increase once winter comes. People like to be able to sit in their car and go, "Here, bring me my book." So.
And you like to go out in the cold weather.
Well,
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. It's like one of those things that happened from 2020. That's actually it's a
pretty
good
good thing.
service. It's a pretty good thing.
So do they just call you and say we're showing up, or?
Or right in front of the library, I can see them pull up, so I just have their stuff ready and I can walk it out.
Okay.
I have another headliner that's called Creativity and Fun. This is where I get to brag about Lisa and team. Each week they provide a new story walk, which I almost, luckily Justin didn't see me, drove off the road because I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So families can walk by, and not only do they do the story walks, they also do craft kits to go with it called Take and Make Kits. And I added it up, and during the summer alone, they handed out 330 Take and Make Kits to families. Yeah, I know. She doesn't. She just tallies the numbers. She doesn't pay attention. I'm like, that's really impressive. So, so I would like to do an official shout out to Lisa, Shelby, and Claire for their exceptional work. They really are a strong team, and yeah. So there, I didn't say wonderful.
Yeah.
I was gonna try to mix it up this year. I was gonna say mighty, but I knew she'd hate the adjective mighty. So. Digital options are always an option still at our library. In July 2020, we did add 2 Wi-Fi hotspots to the library. Patrons can come in, check one of those out if they have a card, and then that provides them with 20 days of internet access, unlimited data.
Has that increased?
We never had hotspots. In 2020, this is the first time
Oh, okay.
our system was able to add hotspots. So we've got 2 there right now.
Yeah, we have
So,
2. We had
yeah.
3, but the demand wasn't quite high enough, so we gave one to Katie.
Yeah, one went back to Hutch, but yeah. It's kind of neat though, because people are using them very creatively. I had, I think I can say this, I had a patron who needed to DJ a wedding dance, and she needed Wi-Fi. So she's like, I need this for the weekend. We're like, we have one for you. So Lisa got it all set up, and they had a wedding dance. So
Kids use it for homework. People have taken it camping on trips.
yeah,
It's pretty handy.
lots of trips. One of the things that Lisa's offering this month is Free Book Fridays. Talk about that at all?
Sure, we just wheel out the carts on Fridays. It's donated or discarded books from our collection, and I'm sure you all have seen it out on the
Yep.
front. And people just come in. It's some people's highlight of their week. They actually come in, are you coming out with it today? Yep. So we keep it stocked. We've gone, I think we were rolling out 3 carts at the beginning of the summer, and we're down to 1. So over the winter, we'll get more donations and be ready for spring then with those.
And then the other item I'd like to highlight in October is Lisa's brought back her Booktoberfest, which I let her talk about because this is where people are pounding down her doors on September going, what book are you picking? What book are you picking? So
Because of COVID, we haven't been able to do a lot of in-person things, obviously, but we do digital things, we do things online. Katie set up a ghost tour, I think in Anoka,
yeah.
this coming up week
next
for us,
week,
where we don't have to go to Anoka comes to us. And we're reading 3 books and doing trivia things, and it's just something for people to look forward to, and then we cap off the month by doing the business trick or treat, which is always fun to see everybody coming down.
So that's kind of a snapshot overview of the library and what's happening. Do you have questions?
How has COVID affected you? Or is it getting better?
It's getting better-ish. At first, it was kind of a shock when we all had to shut down, but it was what it was. A lot of our older patrons here in town, they don't do digital. They don't want ebooks. They want a physical book, and so that was hard. And then when we were appointment only, that was hard because you couldn't just, I want to go to the library and go in. But now that we have moved past that, I think it's getting better, but it's almost as if people don't remember that they don't have to have an appointment, that they can just come in now.
Do you track visits?
We do, yes, just so we kind of have an overview of how much staff that we're gonna need at any given time, or when to expect a busy time.
So how are the numbers lately compared to?
Actually, they're not quite back up to 2019, but they're pretty close.
Okay.
It's part of it is story time. I'm not doing in-person story time, and that's where a lot of our circulation numbers came from, because the story time kids would pick out books after. But even I think that's probably what we're missing on that. But other than that, it's okay. It's not bad.
Do you have guest readers come in and read to kids, like our police chief or?
We haven't, because I haven't been able to do in-person story time since
Okay,
2019 fall. And I probably won't be able to until fall of 2022.
okay.
So if he's still around, I'll bring him in then.
If I may make a comment, first off, both these ladies do a fantastic job, as you can see, obviously running the library here in Winstead. But I want the city council to realize, we're certainly providing a service to our residents with our contribution to the library system and having that library system available here in Winstead. But we're getting a little bit of unstated return on our investment. It's certainly the city council desires to create a vibrant downtown area, and there's certainly a lot of benefit to that we've talked about in the past. But this is another example of how the library brings foot traffic to our downtown area, and that helps our businesses within the area with that foot traffic. That's our ultimate goal within our zoning, is to create that vibrant downtown area with foot traffic to help businesses support businesses. And the library is a great example of that. And that's a very unstated return on investment that we don't always think about. So thank you for creating that active space in our downtown district. We appreciate it.
Keeps it alive. How are you as far as physical size? I mean, are you big enough to do what you want to do?
I mean, if you're offering me a bigger space,
No, I
I'll
didn't.
take it.
I didn't.
If it comes with the lake view, even better. But no, we're good. We're doing just fine with what we have. It also helps me to keep the collection really, really functional. I don't have a lot of things in the collection that just stand around and take up space. It all gets checked out, so which is good in Pioneer Land's language.
Amazing. Yeah, I get in meetings and they're like, wait, what? What is Winstead's numbers? Because the circulations are so spot on with the community that you don't have a lot of the extra non-circulations, and everyone's very envious. So I'm like, that would be, yeah, she knows what her community wants to reach, knows what people are going to expect. That's one of her strongest suits. I came up with a new compliment for you.
Lisa, are you going to be having your Christmas auction again, silent auction?
Well, but we're working on something different. We are not doing any in-house, in-person programming throughout the rest of the year, just because our director wants us to all be safe. However, we are working on doing something a little bit different. Steve, my husband, has offered to make his world-famous candy and sell it, so that, and all the proceeds will go to the library. So, keep that in mind.
When can we look forward to this?
I believe he usually gears up. I have to start getting him stuff now, but he usually gears up the weekend after Thanksgiving. So it'll be, I think his first wave he'll have ready on would be the Winter Festival weekend.
Now, when you say wave, are you
He's
doing
gonna go
this?
in like 2. He wants to do 1 and then have another weekend. So 2
Okay,
weeks.
so you aren't taking donations in for
You always take
Andy?
donations.
I will always take donations.
candy?
Sure. What are you offering? I'm good.
She'll work with you.
She's in the candy market herself.
Unless you're bribing me, then no, I do not.
Any other questions? Well, we're fortunate to have the library here and to have the two of you running it, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We've come to the open forum session of our meeting tonight. If there's anyone that would like to address the council, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address, and we have one taker.
Hey, Justin, Police Department. Just wanted to let everyone know that November 1st is coming up. With that is our winter parking ban, no parking between 2 and 6. If you do need to park on the street, we ask that you call the Police Department, 320-485-2600 for permission. Otherwise, you will receive a citation. Thank you.
An educational note.
Correct.
Yes.
With the timeline.
Yes. Thank you, Justin. Anyone else? If not, Adam, do you have any announcements?
Yeah, just a quick update. Reminder to the City Council on October 26th, we have our day-long budget work session. And I believe that is it.
Business trick or treating is on Friday, the 29th?
Thank you, Mike. Yes.
And what hours does that start?
4 to 6.
Thank you. Yeah. Bonnie,
I
anything?
make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Where's the pizza?
All right, I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Oh, I get to do this.
There you go.
For the pizza, huh?